All right, so this video is for help on your Thursday Desmos. So Desmos Unit 5, Lesson 7. So all you have to do is click on the link for Thursday, March 3rd. And then once you click on the link, this is the first question that pops up. It says positive or negative without computing, which means don't solve it, is the solution to negative 2.7 plus x equals negative 3.5 positive or negative? So solution means the missing number. So you'll notice we have an equation and a number is missing. So it wants to know, is that number that's missing positive or negative? So really take a look at it. I would even recommend thinking about it on a number line. Whoops. So if I start at negative 2.7, and I'm trying to get to negative 3.5, which would be somewhere over here. Am I going to have to travel further into the negatives, or am I going to have to go positive? So what does this number right here have to be? So it wants to know, what's the solution? What does this number have to be? Negative 2.7 plus what is negative 3.5? So you're going to type in negative or positive right here. I have a picture here to help you. All right. That's the first question. You don't have to explain it. You can just simply type your answer in. If you want to explain it, it is good practice. Next, it says, which of the following are solutions to this problem? So solutions, so which one of these would give me the correct missing number? So let's first solve it. So 3.5, if I want to get to 3.5 and I'm at 2.7, I'm going to need to travel some more. So how much more am I going to have to travel? Well, let's subtract and see how much farther I needed to go. 5 take away 7, I can't do, so I'm going to borrow. 15 take away 7, I get 8. 2 take away 2 is 0, and then I bring down the decimal dot. So it looks like I need an answer of 0.8, and I know it's going to be negative because negative 2.7 plus negative 0.8 would get me to negative 3.5. So I'm looking for which of these gives me this answer. First off, I see that this goes left 3.5 and then left 2.7. That's going to be a really big negative number. So it can't be that one. The next one, we know that we can use keep, change when I see subtraction. Or another shortcut is you notice that there's a subtracting a negative. Those cancel out. Those cancel. And so I really have negative 3.5 plus 2.7. Well, it's interesting to notice that these two are now the same problem. So if one of them is correct, the other has to be the same. It doesn't make sense to pick one without the other because they give you the same answer. So this is pretty much what I just did. So 3.5 is negative, 2.7 is positive, so I'm going to subtract them because one is going to the left and one's going right. So I am going to subtract them, which I just did over here. And then my answer is going to be negative because 3.5 is a bigger arrow than 2.7. 3.5 is a longer distance than 2.7. So this one would get me negative 0.8. These are the same. And then the last one, 3.5 minus 2.7, that would give me 0.8, but it wouldn't give me the negative number that I need. And I need it to be, it makes a difference if it's positive or negative. So it has to be the first and the third one. All right, on to the next problem. Number 2, it says phone inventory. A store tracks the number of cell phones it has in stock and how many phones it sells. The table shows the inventory for the old phone model at the beginning of each day last week. So you'll notice each day they have their inventory and then they have a change. The inventory changes, so this inventory changes when they sell phones or get shipments. So that's going to be something important to keep in mind. So the inventory changes when they sell phones or they get shipments. So the question is, what does it mean when the change is positive? So if the inventory change is positive, does that represent selling phones or getting a shipment? So the positive change means, and then the negative change means. So I'm going to let you fill in this one. Really think about it. Think about it in real life. It says the inventory changes when they sell phones or get shipments. So when it's positive, which of these things happened? Did they sell the phones or did they get a shipment? So positive means that if the inventory is changing as positive, it means their inventory is going up. So positive means it's going up. Negative means their inventory is going down. So really think about that. If the inventory is going down, it can only be one of these. If the inventory is going up, it can only be one of these. So shipment would mean they get more phones. Selling phones would mean they would have less phones. So you're going to finish that sentence means they either sold it or they got a shipment. Those are your choices. Next question, it says, what do you think it means when the inventory is positive? So positive inventory means negative inventory means positive inventory. So think about it like this. If you go to the store and it says that they have 7 in stock or their inventory is 7, it means they have that many phones. So positive inventory means they have those phones. Negative inventory, so like down here it says -2, it means that they owe phones. They don't have enough. So sometimes stores try to avoid this by making things out of stock, but sometimes they go on back order. So positive inventory means they have those phones. Negative inventory means those phones are on back order or they owe those phones. So the phones are on back order or they owe, somebody paid for the phones and they haven't given them to them yet. So negative means somebody paid for those phones, but they don't have them to give them out yet. So they'll get them on the next shipment. Number 3, feel free to pause anytime. Number 3, it says, based on the information of this table, what do you think the inventory will be Saturday morning? So if I had another column right here named Saturday, what would this inventory be? I want you to look at it like this. If you notice, they had 18 phones. They sold 2. Now they have 16. Then they sold 5. Now they have 11. They sold 7. Now they have 4. They sold 6. They now owe 2 people phones. And then they got a shipment of 20. So remember, they owed 2 people phones. They got a shipment of 20. What would they start with on Saturday? Feel free to replay that. So what would the inventory on Saturday be? Notice that it's going like this as the pattern. So 7 plus 7, 11 take away 7, 4. 4 take away 6, -2. -2, so what would it be? And then it wants to know, explain your reasoning. So how did you know that that's the starting inventory? So go ahead and write a sentence. And then number 4, it says, what's the difference between the greatest and the least inventory? So let me go ahead and scroll up real quick. So what's the difference between the greatest and the least inventory? So we look over here. The greatest inventory was 18. The least inventory was -2. It wants to know what's the difference or how far apart they are. So difference would be 18 minus difference, and then -2. Or you can think about it like this on a number line. So if this was a number line, and let's say this was 0, it's going to take me, this distance right here is 18, but I'm trying to get to -2. So I have 2 more down here. So the difference is also the distance. So you can think about it like that as well. Or this will give you the same problem, because remember, these two subtraction signs, they cancel out and make a plus. So down here on the last one, what's the difference between the greatest, which is 18, difference is subtracting, and then the least inventory was -2. It's important to notice that the least was -2, and the difference sign, those are two different things, so don't leave them out. It's not 18 minus 2, it's 18 minus -2. All right, on to number 3. Solar power. Han's family got a solar panel. Each month, they get a credit to their account for the electricity that is generated by the solar panel. The credit they receive varies based on how sunny it is. In January, they used $83.56 worth of electricity. They generated $6.75 worth of electricity. Here's their electricity bill from January. So notice that the money that they generated was negative or subtracted. And then the charges were positive. So notice that the things that they used were positive. Their charges or their generated was, or their solar credit was negative or subtracted, and then they got their total amount due. The question is, in July, they were traveling away from home and they only used $19.24 worth of electricity. Their solar panel generated $22.75 worth of electricity. What was their total amount in July? So if we look at this, it looks like their solar panels generated more than they used. So their solar panels generated more than they used. So one is used, one is generated, so I'm gonna subtract them. So I'm gonna subtract them, and then I know my answer is gonna be negative because they generated more than they used, so the solar company is gonna owe them money. So before they had to pay the solar company money, now the solar company is gonna owe them money because generated is bigger than the used. So my answer is definitely gonna be negative. I want you to go ahead and calculate that. So we have to subtract what we generated from what we used, and then the remainder of the generated gets credit back for us. So it's going to be negative. Remember to line up the decimals. On to number 4. This is continuation of the electricity. It says the table shows the value of the electricity they used and the value of the electricity they generated. So generated is their credit, so it's negative. Used is their bill, so positive. What is the amount due for the month? So they give you each week, they want to know what's the amount for the whole month, so total. In class, we talked about, I asked, what's a faster way to do this? Because if I go through and I do 13.45 minus 6.3, plus 21.78, plus minus this, plus that, minus this, plus that, it would take a long time. In class, we talked about it would be faster if we just add up all of the used, and then we add up all of the generated. Whoops, that's not very good. So if we add up all of the used together and then all of the generated, then I can just subtract 2 numbers. So these are still negative, so I'm going to have to subtract them because these are positive. So once I add all of these up, I can add them up, ignore the negative, because they're going to all add to a negative. So hopefully by now we know that negatives can combine. I just combine them together, I add them together, they stay negative. Positives, I can add them together. They stay positive. But positive and negatives, they don't mix. They subtract. So, what you'll do is you'll add up all of these numbers. You can write it here to keep track. So it's like 70 something. Whatever you get, you're going to take away the total of the generated. So you're going to do used minus the total generated. And not a double subtraction, just whatever you get is negative. So you're going to add all of these up. You're going to get something that's used, a number for your used appliances, and then you're going to subtract the generated. And I don't know why those colors flipped. So used minus generated. Wow. Let's use the correct colors real quick. So used minus the whatever you get when you add these all together. All right, so add them up and then subtract the generated. You're going to put your answer here. We know it's going to be positive because there's more. They used more than they generated. All these numbers are bigger than these, so your answer is definitely going to be positive. All right, for number 5, this one was your homework. It says differences and distances. Differences and distances are the same thing. They're similar. Plot these points on the coordinate grid. So remember, the first number is your side-to-side number. So how far you're going left or right. Your second number is up and down. Up if it's positive, down if it's negative. So important to remember that first. So side to side, up and down. All right. So first one is 5, 4. So first I'm going to go to 5. So side is 5, up is 4. Next one, side is 5, and then I'm going to go down 2. Next one is negative 3. So that's the side. I'm going to go down 2. Next one is negative 3. 1, 2, 3. And then up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm counting the lines. If you're wondering what I'm counting the lines. So negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0. And this is the 0. It wants you to connect the dots in order. So I'm going to connect my dots. And it says, what shape did you make? And next question says, what are the side lengths of figure A, B, C, D? So this is A, B, point C, and point D. You'll notice they had labels over here. What are the side lengths of each one? So how many squares is each side? So you'll just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're going to count each side and tell me what the side lengths are. Or you can draw it on your board so I can see it. And that's it. So this is just a little review of coordinate points so that we don't forget. When you're done, don't forget to turn it in and have a great rest of your day.